Magdalene's vlog 37. I got up and hobbled to the square, trying not to be too quick for an old lady, and I pushed my way into the middle of the crowd to watch what was going to happen, but not wanting to get too close. There were pawnbroker shops set along one side of the square, but scant evidence of the fruit market that happened on different days of the week. One or two of the Magus's followers could be seen talking to little knots of people. You could tell them by the black band they had around their heads whether or not they wore a scarf underneath to keep the sun's rays at bay. Others had formed a wide semicircle in front of us. The atmosphere was sharp with expectation. We waited, and the heat beat down on us. Still we waited. Suddenly a few of the Magus's followers that included Saul and some highly painted ladies came into the square from the other side, moving to the back of the semicircular area. Our flagging spirits lifted palpably. One of the newcomers stepped forward to address the crowd, whilst the others scoured us to see what kind of people had come. The speaker introduced himself as David, servant of the high God. I noticed Saul seemed to be particularly vigilant in searching through the faces of the crowd, as if this was his special job. I deflected his probing gazes and missed most of what the speaker was saying, except for gathering that he was telling us how lucky we were and that Simon the Magus was about to arrive. For my part, I scanned them back to see what kind of people they seemed to be, apart from the belligerent Saul. There was another fresh-faced young man that I noticed among the new arrivals, who looked quite pleasant. He was smiling and joking with a friend, which partly renewed my hopes about the Magus. Then he was here. The Magus swept into the square with his Helena on his arm and a darkly clothed couple following behind. He wore a long pale cloak over dark robes and a turban headdress that had a moonstone in a silver setting pinned to the front of it. He carried a short black staff that added to his commanding air, like a chieftain coming from the desert, I thought. His piercing eyes swept the audience as he swept into the circle that had been formed. He raised his arms, staff held high, and started. You think you are here to see a spectacle, but I am here to tell you that you are living in a spectacle. Yet the powers of this world wish to hide the truth from you, keep you oppressed. I have come to be the power of God amongst you. What happens in this square is to be a glimpse for you behind the veil of the mysteries. I am the one to pull back the veil, but the mysteries will be yours to live in. His darkly flashing eyes seemed as though they must be penetrating all disguise. Surely he could read our thoughts even. Once I have shown the way, you must make use of it. If you listen to me, I will show you the route to paradise. And if you listen to what my sons tell you, you will be able to go there. For as I represent the will of the Almighty, so they will represent mine, and mine is the power which you can share in. The way he spoke, it wasn't hard to imagine that he could do these things. What a huge difference it must make to have this power to direct events in the world. No wonder there were so many ready to listen. Now, it seemed, he was ready to offer proof of what he could do for us. He had gestured to half a dozen or so young men that stood behind him, stepping aside to give the crowd a good look at the young men he spoke of. Saul was one, and so was the other young man I'd picked out before. With a sweep of his staff, the Magus gestured them forward. 3 came with a wide cloth and placed it on the ground in front of the circle. My friends, come and give your offerings to the Almighty, and I shall transport them thence, even as you watch. Give to my sons as they come amongst you, and you shall see the proof of what I am saying. 7 of his helpers went through the crowd, taking all that we had to offer. They placed these on the cloth that had been laid on the ground, even as the Magus explained further what would happen. As you give, so what you have given will grow in paradise, and as you follow me, so your prize will await you there. But everything you hold back will hold you back. Quite a lot of money and valuables had been collected on the rug. There were even a few coins and a small piece of cloth from me, that were taken with a bit of a shrug by one of the followers. Only a poor widow, I could almost hear him thinking. The collecting went on for a while, but once the Magus was satisfied, he waved his helpers back and traced a circle in the dust around the rug-like cloth with the tip of his staff. He was mumbling words and making gestures with his hands as he did so. He then marked out another circle slightly away from the first, and 4 of the Magus's painted women came forward and stood at points around him where he directed. He took his position in the centre. No one said a word, but the build-up in tension was palpable. He started his incantations, quietly at first, but as he raised his volume, a buzzing noise seemed to be growing in my ears. Others too were obviously feeling the same. They had put hands up to the sides of their heads. The Magus's words grew loud, but I could not make them out because of the buzzing. He held out his staff, pointing directly at the pile of offerings. Words became commands, and the edges of the cloth raised up into the air. Commands that were repeated twice, thrice, and the cloth was pulled up as though by unseen hands, weighed down in the middle by the offering's weight. The Magus moved his staff, held in both hands, as if the great burden of the offerings was balanced on the end. Slowly he swept it around, watched by an amazed crowd, and the bundle moved higher and higher as he drew it round the circle, twice the height of the tallest person there. He brought the staff back towards the front, crying out as though with one last effort. A sharp crack of noise accompanied a momentary appearance of a dark crack in the air, and the cloth bundle and everything it contained disappeared. The mesmerized crowd gasped as one. Thus what you have given has been taken to paradise, he said. The buzzing had gone, and his words were easy to hear. And there they will multiply as now you witness. And another commanding word was followed by a small shower of coins falling out of mid-air to the circle on the ground where the cloth had been. 1 or 2 people started forward to grab the miraculous coins, but he waved them back. These are to be given to the poor, he said, gesturing to one of his chosen. Gather them up and take them to the synagogue for the poor. He moved back into his circle and once more addressed the whole crowd. You have the power in you, and I am the one to release it. Give me now your faith, and I will show you how the power will raise you up also. Give me your faith. Open yourselves, and let me show you the power that is for my chosen ones. Give it now, he said. Open yourselves to me. He was moving his arms slowly out from his sides and up, his short black staff still in his hand. As around and up they swept, imperceptibly at first, he seemed to rise up. Then, with arms held high, he had definitely risen a foot or so into the air. Some of the followers had started to chant, Simon Magus, Simon Magus, and the crowd joined in. The cries grew, and the Magus rose higher still, and apparently lifted his Helena into the air as well, to float towards him. Thus the beloved are raised up, he said, and the crowd stretched out their arms towards him, along with all those near to him too. He permitted his close disciples to get hold of him now, and to the tumultuous applause and cries of the crowd, his entourage carried him and Helena shoulder high from the square.